If you have ever cried out to God to work in a difficult situation and things seem to get even worse, you understand what the Hebrews went through when Moses and Aaron first arrived back in Egypt to free God's people. Moses comes with a direct message to Pharaoh from Yahweh. Pharaoh is to let the Hebrew people go so that they can worship God. Pharaoh, who believed himself to be God, was not impressed, and he made life even more difficult for the slaves. We know this pattern of oppressors. We know it in our own history of slavery, and in the North, we know it through our own history using a caste system that have kept blacks out of communities, education, higher-paying jobs, and general society. By making life more difficult and making the work harder, the oppressed do not have the time, energy, or resources to resist. Pharaoh has the astuteness of an experienced oppressor. Pharaoh believed that if the people were asking for freedom to go and worship God, they obviously didn't have enough work to do. They had too much time on their hands. And so he calls them shirkers, lazy, idle. His solution was to make more work for them, harder work, so much work that they can no longer even think of resisting him. When Moses and Aaron approached Pharaoh for the first time, the stage is set for a conflict that dominates the scenes for the next 10 chapters of this amazing book. You might have noticed the rather blunt way in which Pharaoh is approached. The brothers do not use a tone that is deferential. They go to Pharaoh and say, "Thus says the Lord, the God of Israel, let my people go so that they may celebrate a festival to me in the wilderness." This was not the way in which Pharaoh was used to being approached. Pharaoh, again, is only aware that he is God. He doesn't know this Lord that they're talking about. So, no, I will not let Israel go. Another thing that oppressors do is that they enlist certain people from within the oppressed group for special favors and special power to control their own people. The Nazis did this in the ghetto and in concentration camps. They appointed Jews to police the people. And the Jewish police, either for favors or hoping to save themselves, or with the thought of keeping people in line for their own good, did the bidding of the Nazis, arresting, rounding up their own people, or supervising in the work camps. This is a common tactic, and it creates collaborators within the oppressed group. Collaborators cause division within the community that's being oppressed by arousing fear and making people feel like someone's always watching them and someone's ready to turn them in at any moment, thus degrading the unity of the oppressed even more. In Egypt, the Hebrew slaves were supervised by Hebrew foremen, who then answered to their supervisors, the taskmasters. After Aaron and Moses left Pharaoh, Pharaoh charged the taskmasters and the foremen to stop providing straw for making bricks. Making bricks was the slave's primary job. Ancient Egyptian bricks were made of clay and moistened with water and mixed with hay or roots or reeds from the Nile. They were put into molds and laid in rows and exposed to the sun. After they were dry, they were removed from the molds and completely baked in the sun. Now these bricks were larger than our bricks, 14 and a half to 20 inches long and about 7 inches thick. They were used primarily for dwellings and other ordinary buildings, and not as the movies sometimes depict for the pyramids. Making bricks was very hard labor. And so when Pharaoh withdrew the allotment of straw and the Hebrews had to gather their own while still producing the same number of bricks, the task was nearly impossible. Aaron and Moses came to gain the freedom for their people, and things got worse. The foremen complained and they were beaten for not making their quota. And again, Pharaoh said that they were all shirkers. They were all lazy. When the oppressor ascribes a character flaw to the oppressed, then they're totally relieved of any burden of responsibility. It wasn't Pharaoh's fault, even though he withdrew the straw. It was the Hebrews' fault for being so lazy. To this day, character flaws are attributed to oppressed people. Native Americans are accused of being drunks and uneducated, lazy, and unemployed. The poor are faulted for not making a better life for themselves. Refugees are blamed for their situation. It is a great way for those of us who are privileged to avoid looking at our own participation in an unjust society. When the Hebrew foremen left Pharaoh, they came upon Moses and they cursed him. May the Lord look upon you and punish you. You have brought us into bad odor with Pharaoh and his officials and have put a sword in their hand to kill us. You have brought us into bad odor. You have made us, Moses and Aaron, offensive. You have made us contemptible. And then Moses cried out to God, "Why did you send me? Why have things gotten worse? You, God, have not delivered on your promise." And here we are reminded of a very difficult lesson. When righteous people confront evil, more evil may be experienced. When righteous people confront evil, more evil may be experienced. Evil does not like to be challenged. And in the fight against evil, evil will attack with even more intensity. Jesus showed us that all too well. But there's more to the lesson, which we must also remember. And that's God's response to this increased pain. You shall soon see that I will do to Pharaoh. He shall let them go because of a greater might. Indeed, because of a greater might, Pharaoh will actually drive the Hebrews from this land. Evil may increase, but God is not done. God is not done. I have a very good friend who shared an interesting saying of her father's. With God, everything works out in the end. If things haven't worked out, it is not the end. God was not done with Pharaoh. God was not done with the Hebrews. God was not done with Moses. God is not done with us.